Lisandro Martinez is injured and will miss at least 8 weeks of action for Manchester United.
Oh, darkness, my old friend.
But fear not, Manchester United fans, whilst it is of course a big loss to lose Lisandro Martinez, there are ways in which Erik ten Hag can try and cope with the situation. And personally, I hope he has learned his lesson and can cope with it better than what he did last season, but also earlier this season as well. In my opinion, there are ways you can kind of fill this hole of Lisandro Martinez. But before we do that, we firstly need to figure out what Lisandro Martinez has been doing so well in the past few games. And mainly, he's been playing in the middle of a back three in possession. Diogo Dalot has been pushing forward, either inverting into midfield or really pushing quite high up the pitch, whilst Luke Shaw has played, initially in the build-up phase, a slightly more reserved role, representing this 3-2 shape. Now the first question we need to ask is, why has this been happening? Well, in my opinion, it's to stop Lisandro Martinez having to cover such big, large spaces out wide. He's not great in those areas of the pitch. Moving him central with a player either side makes life a lot easier for him. And then in possession, he's able to get a lot of touches on the ball, dominate the play, dictate the game, control the tempo, and importantly, pass the ball forward through the lines. This was seen pretty well in the Wolves game. We can see United in a 3-2 shape here. We've got Lisandro Martinez in the middle, Luke Shaw to his left, and then Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro in the double pivot on this occasion. However, as always with an Erik ten Hag side, there are situations where it rotates, and we can see that Licha has also had spells playing more as the left-sided defender. However, more typically, it has been this central role here. This is where he has been playing. So what we need to try and do is replace the job of Lisandro Martinez. Now, this is where the bad news is. Basically, you can't. Lisandro Martinez is elite in possession, in my opinion, one of the best ball-playing defenders in the world, and I think he's the only player that I can think of who does it in the way that he does, in true Lisandro Martinez fashion. So that's obviously a problem for Ten Hag, because you haven't got a like-for-like replacement in the squad, possibly in the world, really. However, I still think Erik ten Hag can deal with this situation, but for me, there's a couple of principles he needs to follow. The first principle is to look back at the last couple of games and realise what has actually been the change for Manchester United.
So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order.
So of course I've spoken about this new shape, the new average positions and things like that, but for me personally I think there has been a more important change in that. And that has been playing players who have good relationships with each other. Rafael Varane and Diogo Dalot have played a lot alongside each other. Luke Shaw and Marcus Rashford, we have seen a real resurgence in their attacking output, with the two of them finally playing together down the left-hand side. And the same also, Bruno Fernandes a little bit higher, closer to Marcus Rashford on the left-hand side. These better relationships have led to improved performances. The other thing which I feel Erik ten Hag needs to focus on when trying to find a player for this position is someone who is solid defensively. Yes, of course, passing angles and things like that are important, press resistant, but I think the most important thing for this Manchester United side is to get a defence which, wants to defend, knows how to defend. So those are a couple of the boxes which Ten Hag needs to try and tick, and I present to you the solution: Harry Maguire. Now, just hear me out on this one. Some of you guys might jump on my back, but I've backed Harry Maguire before, and this season I've been proven to be right. So just trust me on this one. The first reason I think Harry Maguire would be such a good player for this role is because of building a relationship, his understanding with Luke Shaw. These two have played together for England, for Manchester United, and genuinely had huge success with their performances on the pitch. So this is one of the reasons why I would like to see Maguire brought into the side. It's also a better solution than Luke Shaw at left centre-back because it allows us to keep that brilliant left-side dynamic of Luke Shaw and Marcus Rashford. I think Harry Maguire could address some of the problems. Now, it's one thing me just saying that he could play that position, but I'm guessing that you guys probably want evidence. Now, what I want you guys to do now is cast your mind back just a few months ago to one of the best performances from Manchester United this season. Which game am I talking about? 3-0 against Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup, a performance which we all look back on and say was one of our best this season. Guess who played left centre-back in that game? Harry Maguire. And guess what his main role in the side was? To control the tempo of the ball with a ridiculous amount of touches, but also the licence to progress the ball forward. Now the next question is, how did he actually do that role? Well, for large periods he done it by playing in the middle of a back three, with Rafael Varane to his right, and actually in this game Amrabat to his left playing in a left back role. But we can see here, positionally he is taking up a very, very similar position to Lisandro Martinez, playing in the middle of a back three with also two midfielders in front. And of course there were several examples of this even just in the first 10 minutes of the game. However, the other important thing is that Harry Maguire can do the rotation which we saw Lisandro Martinez doing, moving to the left side of the defence. Early on, it looks like Harry Maguire could tick a few of the boxes which we need ticked, because he has already played, this season, a very similar tactical role. He's done it next to Rafael Varane, which realistically is going to be the best solution in the short term. He has proven that he can do it. And also, he's also proven that he can progress the ball forward as well. On this occasion, a long pass to the right wing, showing his ability to progress the ball. And he also done it against Copenhagen as well in the Champions League. From a left centre-back position, he then played as the central centre-back and had the licence to move the ball forward through the lines. In my opinion, that particular game was almost the perfect evidence that Harry Maguire could play a similar position to which Lisandro Martinez did, playing in the middle of a back three, not having to cover wide areas, controlling the tempo, looking to move the ball forward through the lines. However, having said that, he is of course not the same as Lisandro Martinez, so there are potentially a couple of tweaks which Erik ten Hag will need to make. Bye bye Lisandro Martinez, sorry to see you go. So it starts off with goal kicks. Manchester United need to have a much more structured goal kick approach. And the reason for this is because by having Maguire in the side instead of Lisandro Martinez, you now have less problem solvers in the first phase. Therefore, the structure is now more important. So perhaps less rotations in this first phase, more of a structured 2-4 shape, with Harry Maguire and Rafael Varane having the play in front of them. Not asking them to receive the ball in midfield and get on the turn, like we might with Lisandro Martinez. Get these two playing with everything in front of them, and then get press-resistant players just in front of those guys. Luke Shaw on the left-hand side, Kobbie Mainoo dropping in, Diogo Dalot as well. Perhaps you could even rotate someone like Fernandes deeper, or you could even bring Amrabat into the side. But the important thing here is that on goal kicks, there needs to be less emphasis on individual ability and individual problem solving, and more focus on the structure which the side uses. That is all on Erik ten Hag. In terms of further up the pitch, the big question for me for Harry Maguire is, can he control the tempo? Now, like we've seen already, he has games where he has a lot of touches, completes a lot of passes. However, at times he moves the ball a little too slowly. My big challenge for Harry Maguire is to not only progress the ball, like we've seen him do in the past, but progress the ball with tempo. Do it on a regular basis. In recent weeks, we've regularly seen Lisandro Martinez firing passes into the double pivot, but also to the players a little bit further forward, especially when they create a slightly wider angle. Perhaps Kobbie Mainoo in this position here, Bruno Fernandes in this position here. Now, the good thing is, Harry Maguire is comfortable with his passing range, so he can use his right foot in this situation to set the ball out in front of him like this, and then play a simple pass through to Diogo Dalot. However, as we saw with that previous example, the pass to Scott McTominay, he is also capable of playing more of a reverse ball to this left-hand side. Of course, it is never going to be the same as what it was with Lisandro Martinez. Harry Maguire and Lisandro Martinez are nothing alike. However, Maguire might be able to play a similar tactical role. And in possession, as long as the rest of the team approach the game in the right way, you can absolutely get away with Harry Maguire in your defensive unit. If the likes of Casemiro, Diogo Dalot and Kobbie Mainoo are given the licence to form a double pivot in the midfield, two players in that second phase, but then also are told to keep the ball, slow passing, close connection points, then Harry Maguire should be absolutely fine. Realistically, in these scenarios, we might just have to change our emphasis a little bit. Rather than central progression, which we've actually seen for once in the past couple of weeks, we might have to go back to progressing the ball a little bit wider. Emphasis on Luke Shaw, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford. That kind of quadrant of players there, trying to outnumber players in wide areas. The same on the other side of the pitch as well. Rafael Varane, Diogo Dalot, Kobbie Mainoo and Garnacho on the right wing. Use these wide combinations more than the more central combinations. Certainly through the first phase. Again, simply because we don't have Lisandro Martinez. And again, he's really difficult to replace. I'm trying my best here. However, what's important is that as we get further up the pitch, that we then have the ability to come back inside. Now, in recent weeks, we've done this very well. In the past two games, we've seen underlapping runs, third-man runs, creating room for players to receive on the edge of the box, meaning that Rasmus Højlund has actually got touches. Losing Lisandro Martinez from the side and bringing Harry Maguire in should not affect this. So actually, in my opinion, the big thing over the next couple of weeks isn't going to be, is Harry Maguire good enough for the role? I absolutely think he is. The question for me is Erik ten Hag going to be bold? Is he going to be brave? We've seen since he's been at the club, he is very reliant on certain individuals. And when those individuals don't play, he completely changes his system. Erik ten Hag, I challenge you to not do that this time around. If he does do it, any progress made in the last 2 games could quickly evaporate, and United could be in a very sticky situation once again. However, if he's brave, if he is bold, if he asks Harry Maguire to be that middle player in a back 3, if he asks for a double pivot in midfield which controls possession, if he asks for less aggressive duels out wide, again like we saw particularly against Wolves, then Manchester United can be absolutely fine without Lisandro Martinez. I've got to be honest with you guys, it's not going to be the same. Again, he is elite, he's wonderful on the ball, he's one of a kind really. It's very difficult to replace that. However, whilst Harry Maguire cannot replace it, he can do some similar jobs. And we've seen this season defensively, he's been in very good form, his confidence is back, he's been a leader at the back, and of course also at set pieces he is very, very useful at both ends of the pitch. In my opinion, Erik ten Hag should put his faith in Harry Maguire, importantly play him on the left side of the back 4, the left centre-back position, so he can then move into a central centre-back position in order to really get the most out of his talents. If Erik ten Hag does that, we should be okay with this change. It's a huge blow, but Manchester United should be fine. Let me know, though, what you guys think in the comments down below. How big a blow is this situation, losing Lisandro Martinez, and what do you think is the best solution? Perhaps you're more of a fan of moving Luke Shaw into centre-back. Personally, I'm not, because I want to keep those relationships elsewhere. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, like the video, get notifications on, subscribe to the channel, all of that good stuff. Apart from that, though, we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.